Yo. Welcome into the ChrisBeCappinn Show, man. Today is August the 27th. There are two more games in the WNBA for today, so we'll talk about those. Hit the like button for me as you join. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new, all that good stuff. I don't have a recap from yesterday. I didn't bet anything, but a couple things that I talked about were winners. So the ideas that I had would have been, I think, 2-1. Indiana plus the 4 was an easy winner. I thought Seattle would at least come to play. They did not. So that would have been an easy winner. They won the game outright. And then I liked over, but the Sparks couldn't score. The Mercury continued to score the basketball, which we talked about. So Mercury team total up and over, even though it wasn't on the recap page, would have been a winner. I think the team total was like 90.5, and they got to 92. And then Satu Sabli did go over her 21. So it was a sweat. She didn't grab many boys, but she did go up and over her 21.5 points plus rebounds as well. So see if we can keep going today, man. As far as Jackson, your AI sports betting tool, link in the description as it always is, 50% off using promo code ChrisBeCappinn, 2 P's, 2 N's. Jackson like Kelsey Plum over her 23.5 points in rebounds yesterday. That was a loser. Kelsey Plum finished with 0 rebounds yesterday. Interesting. I think it might have been her first game ever. Well, not ever, but this season specifically, that she's not grabbed a board. She finished with 20 points, but she didn't get any boards last night. And she also shot pretty poorly from the 3-point line, 2 for 7. Satu Sabli, the look that I like, Jackson also liked, and that was a winner over 21.5 points plus rebounds. As far as today, Jackson likes Asia Wilson over her 26.5 points and assists. It says he's been on an absolute tear. Her performance against Atlanta Dream particularly noteworthy. She's consistently exceeded this line. When facing the Dream, hitting over 100% of her 2 matchups against them this season, averaging an impressive 32.5 points plus assists. Over her last 10 games, she's hit the over 70% of her games, averaging 30 points plus assists. The Las Vegas Aces are currently riding an 11-game winning streak and lead the league in offensive rating during this dominant run, which bodes well for Wilson's continued high production. While the Dream's defense ranks 5th against her position, Wilson's individual success against them is a strong indicator in this matchup. So Jackson likes Asia Wilson over 26.5, put the assists with it, points and assists. And next up is Paige Bueckers over her 5.5 assists. This is plus 126, it looks like, on FanDuel at the time of this recording. Paige Bueckers is stepping into a significant role for the Dallas Wings due to the injuries to their key rotational players like JJ Quarterly and Arike Ogunbowale. This increased responsibility means she'll be handling the ball and looking to facilitate. While her overall hit rate for assists over her last 10 games is just 30%, her performance against the Connecticut Sun is compelling. She's hit the over on her assist line in 100% of her last 2 meetings against the Sun this season, averaging 7 assists against a line of 5.5. The Sun's defense against her position is ranked 9th, which isn't a top tier defensive matchup. The favorable odds at plus 126 offer excellent value for a player with increased usage in a strong historical performance against this specific opponent. So real quick, I feel like I didn't see anything on JJ Quarterly being on the injury report for this game. So I just wanted to go back and double check because my injury report did not say that. Let's see. I just saw that Paige Bueckers is questionable. Didn't get an update on JJ Quarterly. Maybe, I don't know, I guess I got a little bit more work to do because I hadn't seen her name pop up on the injury report. I know she didn't play in that last game. I'm not sure if JJ Quarterly is going to play. I don't see her on the injury report for today, though. But yeah, take that with a grain of salt. Paige Bueckers over her 5.5 assists and Asia Wilson over her 26.5 points plus assists. And let's get it popping. All right, so 2 games. First one up, we got the Dream and the Aces. This line open with the Dream laying a point, I think is what I wrote in my notes. And they're up to 2.5 point favorites, which is crazy because the Aces have won 11 games in a row. The total open like 162.5. I do see it as high as 163.5, but the consensus is 162.5-ish. Injury report, we don't have anybody out. The Dream, well, for Aces, Cheyenne Parker-Tyus, which we know she hasn't played all season. And then for the Dream, interestingly enough, she played for this Dream team. Jordan Canada remains out for them. She's going to be out probably another week, I think. Hopefully, maybe able to get her back this before this week ends. So as far as the matchup, it's a good one. Spicy game, right? The Aces are they've won both matchups against the Dream so far this season. Once the first time earlier this season, they beat them by 15. I think it was 87-72 in Vegas, and then they beat them by 2. And that was on the 19th. So a little over a week ago, they beat them by 2. And we were on the plus 1.5 man, we were on the +1.5. The Dream kind of ran out of gas late in that game. They led all the way up into the third quarter. I think they win the third quarter with like a nice, multi-possession lead, and couldn't score the basketball. It was the last game of a road trip. I kind of want to think that the Dream are going to get a little in-season double revenge in this spot. The Aces have owned this team for such a long time. I think when I was looking at it, they had beat them like 7 of the last or 8 of the last 10 games or something like that. The Aces are red hot right now. Really don't want to bet against them. 11-9 straight up on the road. They're 7-2-1 against the spread in their last 10 games. They've won 11 straight, like Jackson said as well. But the Dream are not necessarily a team that you want to be fading. They're 12-5 at the crib, 10-7 against the number at home, and they're also. No. I think that's all I had for the Dream. Recent form, though, for this Las Vegas Aces team, I think this is important to note. I just talked about them winning so many games in a row, and definitely gonna have the popcorn ready for this one. Recent form, Aces are number 1 in offensive rating, 4th in defensive rating, 1st in net rating, 2nd in points scored at 88 per game, and 8th in opponent points per game. And they are playing at the 7th slowest pace. These are all last 5 games numbers. 2nd in effective field goal percentage, 3rd in turnover rate. So they're doing a pretty good job there. They're also not grabbing a ton of offensive rebounds, which I think Atlanta on the board should be great in this spot. Atlanta's the best rebounding team in the WNBA, but the Aces have actually been the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the WNBA over the last 5 games. So Aces Aces have been the second worst offensive rebounding team in the last 5 games. And I think that's a big advantage here. So I haven't bet it, but I do agree. I feel like typically the money that comes in is the wrong play, right? Yesterday we saw the Fever end up, getting more points than what the line opened at, and they absolutely destroyed the Seattle Storm. And I don't know. I just kind of feel like I don't really like betting in that way unless it makes a ton of sense. And a lot of things that make a ton of sense have not been cashing this season. So I think the Dream get the job done. I don't really want to lay too many points with the Aces. I want to talk a little bit more about the total. I think that this is an under game. Both for the games that they played early this season did stay under a very similar number. First game was 163. It stayed under. It got to 159 though, so a little sweaty. And then the second game was 167, and it landed at 146. So we know that these two teams, neither one of them plays super fast. The last 5 matchups have actually stayed under the total dating back to last season. And then 7 of the last 10 have actually stayed under the total as well from a head-to-head perspective over the last couple of years. Even though the Aces are first in offensive rating, the Dream's offense can be very, non-fluent, I guess. They're 8th in offensive rating over the last 5 games, are the Atlanta Dream. They are 2nd in defensive rating. The Aces are also 4th in defensive rating over the last 5 games. And the Dream also not scoring a ton of points. Their last 5 games are combining like 146-ish. They're number 1 in opponent points scored per game. They're giving up just 70 per game. They're also playing super slow. Second slowest team behind Golden State at 89 possessions per game. The Aces also 7th in pace. So it's not like they're playing super fast either. I think this game stays under the total just like the other two did. Far as seeding goes, we know that the Aces are continuing to climb. The Dream also trying to, stay right behind the Minnesota Lynx as well, not get passed by the Aces team. So I like under. I think the higher the total goes, the more I want to bet the under. I thought about narrowing it down. I do think that this Dream's defense is good enough to slow down the Aces offense, even though they are number 1 in offensive rating. So those are my thoughts. Aces team total under, full game under. I think the Aces 3-point defense has been good enough to slow down this Atlanta Dreams offense too, but we'll see if they can keep it going. But yeah, I like the under, and I like the Dream in this spot. I think those are the right sides. As far as player props, there is a couple that stuck out to me. I haven't really been betting too many player props, but there was a couple that stuck out to me that I did want to talk about. So let's take a short little field trip over the outlier. We'll jump right into it. All right, cool. So first one that stuck out to me was A'ja Wilson. So this is Outlier. Link in the description if you guys are interested in checking it out. 7-day free trial. So this is A'ja Wilson's point prop today. So he's listed at 23.5. You can see she's only over in 16 of her 35 games. But I'm focusing more so on the last few games, right? So season rate is only 46% to the over, 16 to 35. You can see it right here. But if we start looking at last 5, 60%, last 10, 70%, Asia has like low key started to get in her bag. 55% here. I feel like the way I think about the game is if there is anybody that's going to go out there and score, like this is the person that I'm betting on the most. I know Chelsea Gray, if you look at her numbers, I looked at hers. She's been playing a little bit better recently, her assist prop, her points prop. But the way that she likes to score the basketball is not conducive to her being able to score the basketball a lot in this game. So I think, like when it all comes down to it, Asia's the person that stands out the most. We just look at those last 10 games. You can see that she's over in 7 of the last 10. She's averaging 27. This is a slow-paced team, but I think Asia Wilson, specifically from the mid-range, I think has, a lot of advantages against Brittany Griner as far as foot speed and Bree Jones as well. So we'll see if, they double her, but I think Asia gets busy. From a head-to-head perspective, you can see that these are the 2 games that she played against them this season. She got 24 in that first game, 32 in the last one. And last year, when she played against them, the 3 times she played against them, she went up and over the 23 and a half as well, averaging 28 in their last 5 games against them. So I think Asia makes a lot of sense. The other player that I want to, so I would buy on Asia. I would fade on Joe Lloyd. I think Joe Lloyd is an underplay for today. So she's listed at 10.5. You can see this is our under 10.5. You can see she stayed under in 4 straight games. It's not necessarily that. I do think, she had a little hot run when Becky Hammond started playing her off the bench, but she's cooled off a lot. And also it's just the way that she scores the basketball. The Atlanta Dream are let's see, I got it pulled up. Which tab is it? I got a lot going on over here. Let's see. So the Atlanta Dream, so Jewel Lloyd gets, of course, a lot of her shots from spot up. She likes to shoot a lot of threes, about 37%. So almost 40% of her points come from spot up. This is the number 1 spot up defense in the WNBA. I don't think that Jewel Lloyd is going to be able to get off a lot of threes. Also, if we look at the last 2 matchups, the matchup that she's played this season, granted her role was a little bit different, but if we look at her matchups this season, she's under in both games, 7 points and 7 points. So in Atlanta, slower pace game. I do think Joe Lloyd under 10.5. This is one I really like. 10.5 under for Joe Lloyd. I'm probably gonna end up betting that one. I think that makes a ton of sense because I just don't think that they're gonna be able to score from the 3-point line. So that's my thought process as far as player props go. I will bet Asia over, Joe Lloyd under. I also considered fading Brian Howard and potentially playing on Alicia Gray. I think both of those make sense for obvious reasons. Ryan Howard is going to shoot the ball a ton of times, but I think this is an under game, so I like unders in this game as far as player props go. All right, enough time on that game. The reason why I spent so much time on that game is because this game stinks. Connecticut and Dallas. Connecticut, I don't think they had anybody on the injury report. Yeah, they have everybody off the injury report. Heartbreaking loss to the New York Liberty. They fought tooth and nail to win that game last time on Monday night. And now they got the Wings. No Enrique Gumbawale. Paige Beckers popped up on the injury report as game time decision. And it's the reason why I say it's a tough game is because do you really want to lay 4 points on the road with the Connecticut Sun? I know I don't, especially when Dallas opened as a 2.5 point favorite. And that line looked very janky because I'm not laying points with Dallas. And if I could have got Connecticut plus 2.5, I definitely would have. I mean, they've been by far the better team. Dallas have won both matchups, so Connecticut has, in-season revenge, double in-season revenge. The last 2 times they played, it went up and over the total. Both games went up and over the total. But with Paige Beckers being listed as questionable with an illness, like, what do you really do with this game? If you look at it from, and I talked about this, in Dallas's last game when they were playing against the Valkyries. Valkyries are a lot better than than Connecticut. But one of the things that they have in common is both teams are playing really good defense right now. It's crazy to think, but the Connecticut Sun are actually the number 1 defensive rated team in the last 5 games. They got a defensive rating of 93.7. They just held the Liberty. Liberty got out the gate, super fast. You making a bunch of shots. I think they finished with like 27 points at end of the first quarter and finished with like 37 or 38 at halftime. So they and then held them, under their team total significantly in the next game as well. But the Connecticut Sun are light years better than Dallas Wings just right now, right? Like I said, I don't really want to lay points. It's a little bit of a trap line. I wouldn't bet this right now unless I know that Paige Beckers was going to be officially ruled out. We just look at the last 5 game stats, man. Connecticut they're not a great offensive team. They're 11th, but defensively, like I said, number 1, they're 3rd in net rating of plus 8.3. They're 10-9 against the spread on the road. They've covered 7 of their last 10 games. They are at a 1-day rest disadvantage, and they're traveling for their third straight game. But and 4 of their last 5 games have been on the road. But they've covered 6 in a row, and they've won 4 of their last 6. Typically getting points, but I mean, Dallas is, like I said, they're a pretty bad team, man. 5-15 straight up at home, 9-11 against the spread at home. They won 1 of their last 10 games, 5 straight losses. They failed to cover 3 of their last 4, and it's their third straight home game. They play fast, third in pace, but without Paige Beckers, of course, we have no idea what that's going to look like. They are the worst defensive rated team in the last 5 games, 11th worst in the season, as you guys can see here. Last team in net rating as well, negative 16.5. They just out there experimenting at this point, and they're giving up the most points per game in their last 5 games. So Connecticut team total should be a game that they should be able to score. I said the same thing against a very similar team when they were playing against Chicago over the weekend, and they got to 94 in that game. When Connecticut is a terrible offensive team. Yes, don't get it twisted. They're 13th as far as points per game at 75.7. But this total open 165.5 and it's down. Excuse me, open 165.5 is down to 161.5. And the reason why it's going down is because Paige Beckers. So I still think, Dallas is going to play fast. If Paige Beckers plays, I like Connecticut team total over. I think Connecticut does win this game. That would be my thought process. But without Paige Beckers, I have no idea what to do with the game. So easy pass for me. Just going back to what I talked about in the first game, I do think it's an under for Aces and the Dream. I would wait, see how high the total goes. Asia Wilson over 23.5 points makes a ton of sense in my opinion. And most of all, I think it would be total Joel Lloyd under and Asia Wilson over would be the way that I would play these games for today. All the links are in the description if you guys want to check out the resources that I use to handicap the games, the link for the plays as well. NFL season right around the corner. Feels like NBA season getting closer as well. So super excited for, jumping back into those slates. On the way out, do me a favor, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. We'll be back tomorrow. Go through some more WNBA. Enjoy your Wednesday. Catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.